boys. Welcome back to the channel, YouTube. This is Rusty Bolt's Garage.
I am Navy Dad.
Okay, so just kind of had to have a little fun with that because I'm wearing this ridiculous thing. So that's kind of why I've been offline for a little while. As you know, if you followed along, you saw I was in a bit of a car accident, which will be a year ago next month, and this is not fixed. I went through all kinds of rehab, I've done all the stuff, and it's gotten worse. So today, if this aired properly, and this is the 29th of February, I'm in the hospital right now having surgery on my knee. Yeah, that's right. So, had 3 different procedures to fix it. Essentially, I broke my leg and it was fractured, bone marrow hematomas, and chondroplasty, and all these big long words I can't pronounce. So anyway, that's happening right now. I'm probably in the hospital still, maybe, I don't know. But anyway, that's what has slowed me down on the car immensely, and hopefully I get this fixed and I really get back to work. But I have managed to get some things done. I wanted to get this out there, and this is a big component of what's going on with the Chevelle, so I can get her back on the ground, right? And then next get the engine out and get that part going. So as I previously talked about, I am doing basically a junkyard disc brake swap using Camaro Firebird LS1 F-body, so that would be 98 to 02 front and rear disc brakes, and it's nearly a bolt-on. Yeah, pretty much nearly a bolt-on. So in this episode, it's just going to be the front brakes because I ran into a little snag. But well, I'll get to at the end of this video. I'll discuss the rear brakes and how kind of cool that's going to be. So anyway, I have actually filmed bits and pieces of this over several months just because I've been a lot of pain and it's hard going to do this. And also I want to apologize up front that this is not an end-to-end brake job. So obviously the car's not running, won't be on the ground, but the most important components of this is the actual installation of the discs, how you do it, how you're able to put on the calipers and the different components and parts, which are all listed below in the description where you can get the parts. They're fairly inexpensive to do this, and you can make this a super cheap brake job if you get all your parts from Junkyard. And I did get a majority of in fact all of the rear brakes except for the rotors, everything is from Junkyard. So anyway, and a chunk of what's going on here in the front. But so next will be like brake lines and things like that. And again, I want to apologize, this isn't end to end, but brake lines are simple, right? I mean, that's just a no-brainer. But other than that, this is pretty much a direct bolt-on. So anyway, I'm going to put all the details below in the description of where you can order all this stuff. And golly, bugs. Sorry. So anyway, let's get started. Okay, so it's time to start. Looking at the brake stuff. Because I bought this stuff. Let's see if there's a date on here. It's been like over a year and a half ago maybe. And this is basically to put Camaro Firebird front and rear disc brakes for an LS1 F-body. Basically Camaro Firebird from 1998 to 2002. But this is cool because one, you basically can use Junkyard parts if you want, but the car that I took the rear ones off, somebody had already snagged the front ones, and so I just decided to order new. This is pretty cool, but what this does, this is an adapter kit to basically convert your hubs, front hubs from drum brakes into hats. basically so that you can bolt on front disc brakes just like a modern car. Basically, this kit will do 67, 69 Camaro, 64 to 72 Chevelle, you know, A-body stuff, 68 to 72 Nova, obviously. You can do this so cheap. He gives all the reference information if you want to take your own hubs and take them and have them put on a lathe somewhere, like a brake lathe. You know, sometimes O'Reilly's, if you got a buddy up there like I have, and you just have to skim off a certain amount depending on which brake setup you're going to be using, because he has kits that will be able to use LT1 F-body, LS1 F-body, C4 Corvette, C5, C6. I think he's even got a kit now where you can use C7 brakes up front, and it's basically a bolt-on. So it's incredible. But if you want to really do it on a budget, you can get everything you need at the junkyard and then just order his adapter brackets, which are fairly inexpensive. And of course, all the links are below. So let's take a look here. All right, various different nuts and bolts. Here are the bearings, and more nuts and bolts. And oops, my bag broke. All the nuts and bolts. So we got everything in here. And and these are his hubs that have already been milled, and they will, in fact, let me get out a valve brake here. Hold please. These are power stop rotors. They are not vented and slotted because I hate those damn things. They make so much noise. And I'm not really a big fan of power stop. I've destroyed 4 pairs on different vehicles, warping them rather quickly. Not a big fan of these. So, boom. Okay. You're probably going to need to replace your studs and put longer studs on, which I'm going to do because these are a little bit short. But here is the magic of this. This guy's brilliant, right? But it basically converts your hub into a hat. He mills the hubs specifically to which brake you're going to use. Got back in there. Now, here is the magic. This allows you to bolt on these wonderful calipers onto your GM A-body. Mounting brackets. Aren't those nice? I mean, you know, this is not something you could do 20, 25, 30 years ago. But today with CNC and AutoCAD and all that fun stuff, you can do almost anything. If you're on a budget and you want to do this with junkyard parts, you can. And you can do your entire 4-wheel disc brake system very inexpensively. You know, some of these kits out there today are what, $1,500, $2,000 or more. You know, for the high-end Wellwood, all that crap. And you know, when some of that stuff fails, you got to go to them to get replacement parts. Well, if this fails, I'm just going to go to AutoZone, or well, not AutoZone, but I can go online. I can go anywhere and get replacement parts because there are millions of cars with these brakes. So there you go. And that's what I like to do. I like to be able to do stuff with existing stuff and figure out how to do modifications for things that already exist, because the hobby is getting so expensive. So, you know, and there are kids out there that want to be able to do this, but they can't afford it. But if you get down into the weeds, you can by doing this sort of stuff. So let's get this puppy together. I also decided to paint the hubs with Duplicolor black caliper paint just because this car has enough rust already. Okay, so here we are. I've got this side already installed, and I'm going to go over everything that I did on the other side. But there are a couple of nuances as far as the bracket and shims. So hopefully the other side will go the same way as this one. And I'll show you what you've got to do, because the instructions, although they're very good,
There's a couple of questions in here. As far as the shims, I'll go over this when I get on the other side. But what I will tell you is that when I bought this a year and a half ago. And, you know, thought I was going to get working on the Chevelle much sooner until I, you know, blew up the engine and all blew and started on that. And anyway, you know the story. When I took the box up and I opened it up, there were 2 bags of hardware, which I'll get to in a minute. The bag was torn and the shims were missing. So I pinged him and well, I ended up buying them again. It wasn't very much money, but, you know, I think it was like 25 bucks or something like that. And, you know, it was like, okay, I understand, you know, it's a year and a half later and that was stupid on my part. So when you order anything, open the box up when you first get it and check to make sure everything is there, which I didn't do and I should have. All right, so let's get over to the hardware. So anyway, so this was the kit. This was the part, and I've already used, you know, for the driver's side that was missing. The shims, they're actually just washers, and then this is the shim that goes up here, and we'll get to that in a minute. And all the hardware, and there was a lot of extra hardware in there, including he did ship bolts to replace your steering arm bolts, so brand new steering arm bolts. That was kind of cool. So anyway, let's get into the other side, shall we? Okay, hope this is lit up well enough. And I'm still in a lot of pain, so I'm just sitting on my little stool here. Okay, so now we're going to start the install. Now obviously, if you're going from drums to discs, you're going to have to replace your spindle with a disc brake spindle. On the drum brake spindle, I think this is just blank here. There's nothing there. So that is what you need for disc brakes. You have to have that spindle. So anyway, all right, so let's do it. All right, so your shims that you're going to be using basically is a washer and, well, sorry, that's really bright. So a washer and this shim right here. So we'll go ahead and put this one, just going to go right here in between the bracket, and then this one goes here. See the offset here? That's why you have this. So there. All right, and oh. Yeah, well, that was stupid, wasn't it? All right, so you see it? Yeah, there it goes, just like that. All right, okay, and then it goes over that. I just put another washer here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and tighten this up because, you know, you don't really need to see that. Okay, so now we've got this all tightened up. Again, we've got, this is the shim here, and then just a single washer that came with the kit is, if you see that, yeah, right back there. Now, if you don't do that, this is offset just ever so much, and it doesn't fit across the rotor correct. Okay, so now what my next problem was, is when I installed it, it was still slightly off. It was a little bit close to the inside, or to the a little bit close to the outside of the rotor. I mean, it was really close. I mean, if it got warped at all, it might hit. So I was like, okay, maybe I add another shim from the kit here and here. Nope, pushed it too far out. So I'm like, now what am I going to do? Well, you know, keep in mind that this is a custom kit, right? And, you know, you can't complain to somebody who's designing this stuff for us, right? They're doing it, you know, on their own, in their home, wherever, in their shop, and they're using AutoCAD and all this kind of stuff. You can't complain about it because it's not ever going to be exactly perfect. It's not like mass produced or something like that. But you also have to keep in mind that he may have designed it with an OE spindle. This is not an OE spindle. This is, I think, CCP. I can't remember. I got this from Summit. And because, of course, I had drum brakes. So this could be ever so slightly different than the OE. So you have to keep that in mind. And anytime you're building a car and you're doing something custom that is not stock, you know, you're going to run into stuff like this. And that's part of the fun of building a car. Am I correct? Yes, I am. Okay, so I'll show you what I did. Oh, crap, where did I put it? So I needed to find something that was thinner than this. And so I started hunting around in the parts box and I found this. You know, this is a inner tooth lock washer, right? And it is about 1/3 don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? It might be really bright. It's a third thinner. And I thought, So it fit perfect. Now it fit perfect on the driver's side. So we're going to test now to see if it fits perfect on the passenger side. Oh, and also the kit. The kit came with bracket mounting hardware too, so that was pretty cool. So what I decided to do, with those, is actually shim the mounting bracket itself, not the caliper mounting bracket itself, not this. Just leave that alone, leave it in place. So all I need to do is shift this over a little bit. Now it's a little fiddly to get it in there, so what I did, just took some grease, put it right here, and then that'll stick it on there and hold it in place while you put it in there, because it's really hard to hold the washer in place while you're trying to screw these in. Oh, wait a minute. Ooh, we got to put the rotor on first. It's been a long day. I need beer. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that was quite annoying, wasn't it? Okay, I think that should be perfect. You might see my head for a second. My apologies. I had that problem over there too. Damn it. You gotta be kidding me. Well, to take a quick little interlude there, because there was, well, you can see kind of where I grinded it right there, and then just a touch there. Basically a burr right here of metal that was sticking out, and I couldn't get the bolt in. I couldn't get it at a good enough angle to get it in there, so I grinded it down a little bit, and then it was hanging here just a little bit too, which is, I looked at the other side, and again, these are from CCP or CCS, I forget which, and all this stuff's made in China. So I had to grind that off real quick. And again, you could run into that yourself too, so just keep that in mind. That's why OE is probably the way to go, right? All right, so again, I've got my dog hair in the... Are you seeing this? Let's see. All right, yeah, okay, so put a little grease and dog hair. Geez, that's what happens when you have golden retrievers. Yeah, not one, multiple. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead and be careful not to knock our bolts back off, or not to knock the washers off anyway. And get out trusty old grinder and a little bit of duplicolor, and we're good to go. Well, that one looks just a touch off. Sorry, I'm going to stick my head in front of the camera. Or actually, I'm going to put it on hold. Hold, please. Okay, so good news on this one. I did not have to use the little shims between the bracket and the caliper mounting bracket. I did on the other side, but without those, these are dead center in the middle of the bracket. So might not look like, kind of hard to show here, but I measured it, and they're dead center. But on that side, I did have to shim it on this. So keep that in mind when you're doing this, because you may have to jockey a little bit. All right, so let's get the calipers on. Okay, so always remember your little audible brake sensor. Can you see that? Yeah, okay. Remember, your brake sensor always goes to the inside. Some people put them on the outside, but you want it on the inside because that, well, I take that back. When you have a single or dual piston that operates from the inside out, you always want to have it on the inside, because basically the inner pad is going to wear faster. I really do like these calipers. They just make things so much easier. Shit. In there. Boom. There you go. Yay. Okay, so this is where I'm going to stop with the front brakes. The whole point of the video is to show you that this is the hardest part, right? Installing LS1 Camaro brakes on a 1970 Chevelle. And as you can see, it's really easy. Now the next thing I need to do is I have to replace all the brake lines. They're all rotted. Obviously the master cylinder, and install a power brake booster. I'm not going to do that until the engine's out of the car. It's just going to be a lot easier. So I'm going to finish up the rest of the front suspension, and then in the next episode will be the rear brakes. That's going to be the fun one, because I'm going to show y'all how to do a very simple, cheap, easy way to do the parking brake. Yeah. You know, I know you probably wanted to see an end-to-end completely finished stopping car, but obviously there's a lot left to do on this car. But this was the big thing, and I think, you know, again, this can be done with junkyard parts so inexpensively. I don't know, this is the way to go in my opinion. Who wants to spend a shit ton of money on Wellwood or Bear or Brembo or any of that kind of stuff? Not only that, those are hard to get parts for. It's not like you can go to Advanced Auto Rallies and just buy pads for a Camaro. I mean, how easy is that? So this is the way to do it in my opinion. This car is going to stop so well. Okay, so again, apologies, it's not end to end, you know, with the brake lines and see it driving down the road, but we'll get there. But this is something, you know, if you've been looking to do this to your old school muscle car, you know, even if you have a big budget, because I mean, you install Wellwoods or something like that, I mean, you've got to go back to them to get the parts, right? I mean, this is Camaro parts, man. Yes, Camaro Firebirds, you can get them at any Advanced Auto Rallies. So it makes it really easy to do this, plus it's just a good, solid brake package. So I hope you enjoyed that piece, and again, my apologies one more time for not being end-to-end, but we will get there and I'll cover that again. Now, stay tuned for the rear brakes, because I kind of forgot something when I started doing this. That's right, I don't have a Chevrolet rear end in this car. So on a GM axle, a 10 bolt or 12 bolt, those are all C-clip rear ends, and the only thing you need is this spacer plate, which I will put below if you have a standard GM C-clamp rear end or C-clip rear end. I'll put the link below where I got this. I think it was 40 bucks. And basically, this is the backing plate for the Camaro. Goes onto the axle, it goes, spaces it, boom, you're done. So, now again, that is for a Chevrolet rear end. I have a 69 GTO 390 Posi in here. What is that rear end? That's a BOP rear end, right? Pontiac, Oldsmobile, Buick. And what's different about that rear end? It's bolt-in axles. Yeah. No C-clip. And I don't know what, I just kind of lost my mind on that. I just completely forgot about it, and I cleaned up and rebuilt the rear end and painted it and got it all ready to go. And I go up there to start working on it, I'm like, oh shit. So anyway, so I spent probably the last month or so trying to figure out how I'm going to do this, because I know it's been done, and I finally found from a post back in like 2003 where somebody did that on that rear end. But there was a picture there, and I downloaded the picture, and I was like, oh. So I'm not gonna take it any further until we get into that actual thing, but I found a way to do it. And hopefully, if I get the parts will actually be ready that I'm having to have made, which is just a spacer, in 2 weeks from now. So it should work. So that's it. So stay tuned to the next episode, and that's a big ass bug. Damn, I don't know what that is. So anyway, obviously I can't have any beer. Haven't had beer for a week. Can't have beer for, I don't know, a week and a half after all the drugs and medicines and shit like that. So guess what we have? A big bug. And what the hell is that? And protein powder. Yeah, because that's what you should have before you have surgery. Anyway, y'all take care, and hopefully you'll see me soon. Boys, you be safe out there. Yeah, I know, call me and you know, make sure I'm okay. All right, I'm out.